Okay. When I first started this channel, the goal was to review every single microphone on the market. And I had already done that. I already knew like what the target sound signature was. Because again, if you're not tone deaf, frequency responses really do determine what a microphone sounds like. And honestly, I don't think anybody had a target. Kind of like in the headphone community, there's the Harman target, and people have been coming up with their own targets. In the microphone community, there's no Sean Olive Harman target bullshit. People don't do that in that community. They don't have trained listeners trying to find the best microphone. So I was actually one of the only people that I know of who I didn't know anything about the how the headphone community worked, but I came across eventually places like Recording Hacks where they had standardized measurements and you could compare various microphones, their frequency responses and stuff like this. And yeah, the Neumann TL103 is brighter, clearer, more sibilant, and we can see that with its bigger presence boost in the treble. Okay. Then we got the headphone database that recently came out, which honestly is amazing. And you can see the DT990s and, the treble is so shrill, the treble is so bad, And then I discovered Warren pads, and obviously Oratory did too, because he made measurements for Warren pads. Okay. But, there's still the stigma floating around that the DT990s have horrible knife treble because of people like DMS. And now I am seeing people actually running around distinguishing that fire, saying, no, the pads wear down after a few weeks and it smooths out, and the DT990s are amazing. And me peddling this and me pushing this knowledge to people really changed the community in a lot of ways. And sad to say, again, if you want to destroy the whole industry, this is what does it. Okay. And I'm actually able to do that. As scary as that sounds, your whole enthusiast community could come crumbling down, with these basic, So over the past hour or two, I started making measurements on my guide here. So we got like the DT990s. This was the first one I made. Okay, so this shows you the burned in pads and the fresh pads, and this target. This is end game target. Not even joking. This is it. If the headphone does not meet that target, it's just not going to sound its best possible. So we can just go around and compare that target to all these different headphones out here, like the K712KXX, which is really warm. Oh no, people complain about bass bloat and bloom on the DT990s. You haven't seen nothing yet. Look at that. But look at that deep sub bass. Wow. But look, it's so warm, it's ridiculous. You got that 2K peak on the K712 Pro, which has been almost fixed on the K7XX, a huge 3K scoop. So this is this is really warm, bassy, wide soundstage. But oh, look at this in the treble, it's all screwed up. Okay, so the majority of headphones are just like a mess. And people get hyped up about the 560S when in reality, we can, again, this also, you see how I'm comparing a lot of different headphones to each other, like the 660S and the 58X Jubilee. Okay, 560S and the 598, they're almost identical. It's just the 598s are more warm, and we can see that on my target. Okay, so. And we can see the Sennheiser Veil, the treble, is scooped out. It doesn't meet my target. We can see this a lot of energy around 5K, and then above that, it just scoops everything out. So, this really does show the weaknesses, like the DT1990. So many people are like, why not get the DT1990? Well, because of that huge 8K peak and that huge 4K cut and that huge 10K cut, And look, it has weak bass and it's a little bit overly warm, And we can, you can flip back and forth and say, oh, okay, let's look at the DT990s again. Okay, if I get the worn pads, they don't have any of those problems in the treble. And they actually have a little bit more sub-bass extension. Okay, so, these are the secrets that you need to know to find the world's best audio equipment. And also, I can do the same for microphones, which is where I originally started. And, so I teach you guys about sensitivity, self-noise. So this is the target for like speech. This is like a presence boosted singing microphone. So these are the two optimum targets. And again, since I've looked at every single microphone on the market, I know the majority of them have either of those sound signatures, presence boosted or flat mids, We can go around and look at like the AT4040. Oh, it doesn't follow my target in the treble. It's got like this 6K peak and 9K cut, which, and we can look at like the AT4033CL, which has a lot wonkier mids, and, it's got high self noise, signal to noise, 77 dBA. So I got some specifications down there because I think they're really important. And, you can just kind of go around and like, oh, what about the RE20? Why is that so popular? Look, it follows my target really well. It's a little bit screwed up in the high mids, and maybe it could use a little bit more treble boosting, but I mean, look at that. We could look at the SM7B and look, there's the SM7B flat. We could see it's dark in the treble. It's not boosted. Around 9K, it's scooped out. It's got this weird lump around 5-6K before it scoops out the treble. So it's a dark microphone, and then it has the presence boost and bass roll-off switch. We can see what it looks like on the switches on. Now it turns into a singing presence boosted vocal mic if you use the switches. Thins out the low end way too much. And we just see, it's a little bit chewed up in the highs. It ain't special. It ain't optimum. So, this will prevent a lot of people from using those switches when they realize, hey, if I keep it flat, it's better. It sounds better scientifically. We can look at like the Shure SM58 and see like, oh, look, it's got this weird like 5.5K lump. It's kind of, it doesn't have good treble and air extension. It's got this weird cut. It rolls off a lot below 150 hertz. It's a presence boosted microphone, so you probably wouldn't want to use that for, podcasting. And we can look at the 560, the Sennheiser 565 SD, which is a predecessor to the SM58. And we can see it's a lot more over exaggerated in the highs, a little bit more screwed up in the lows. And I even have the Nouvraught LCT 1040 that just came out. I added a picture of it because it's so crazy looking, and it's very expensive. And we can look at it on my frequency response guide. Ooh, look at this. Maybe a little bit hyped in the vocal sparkle, give it a little bit too much sibilance, but it's got, it's a little bit treble air heavy. The presence boost is not as emphasized as it could be, but it's still, so we can see that this microphone in FET, it's got a signal to noise of 84 dBA, which is really good. Sensitivity only 35 dBs, which is good. That's typical condenser. So if you use the tube settings, it goes down to like 81 dB signal to noise. And I could have all of those different things, and you could see it clear as day what matters. And so again, like if we go to the RE20, but yeah, we can see like it says the sensitivity is like 56 dBs. I don't know if you can see that with the webcam. So, this really shows you like, what about the Rode NT1A? we could see it's kind of trying to be a vocal singing mic. It's quite a bit mangled throughout the entire response. And what about the NT2A? It costs a little bit more. Oh, it's got this weird dip at, let's see, 3.5K. This weird dip that's not supposed to be there. You can really see and pinpoint the problems, and because again, there is an optimum response for a presence boosted mic and a flat mic. You can look at the TL103 that I use, which, I mean, look at that. Wow. Some people say it's a little bit too sibilant, and maybe if they rolled off above 9K a little bit, like my target, instead of going into the highs so much, maybe it would be less sibilant, but that really fits my target really good. We can, what about the U87 AI, the Neumann U87 AI? You see, the presence boost is not as big and wide as it should be, which is kind of compacted. So I mean, again, this is really fleshed out and really developed, and objectively, this is the best stuff. So anyway, if you like these videos, well, mainly I'm telling you to check out the this, because it's amazing. So again, I mean, this is like the first time I think I've ever seen anybody with a microphone target, kind of like the Harman target. So this is my target. This is the Harman target. This is what I think they did wrong. I think they rolled off the highs, and they don't need to have this extreme mud cut. So anyway, that's it for this video.